We're all owned by the Syndicate, body and soul. Or should I just say body?
Hello, filthy movie lovers, something weirdos, and anti-criterion bros, to the 31st episode of the Sin Syndicate, where every night's a thunderstorm, and we never forget to bring our mother's diaphragm. My name is Gentry Austin, writer and researcher, and I'm here with my co-host, adult film historian Casey Scott. And today we will be taking a trip to Skid Row for a look at an underseen softcore drama about four couples behind four doors in a rat-infested hotel. Joining us for this episode is a special guest, the breaker of bricks, the temple of Schlockmeister, writer and exploitation film expert, Chris Poggiali. In a moment, Chris will be joining us to talk about Secret Places, Secret Things, a mysterious 1971 directorial debut from actor stuntman Gary Kent. But first, a few quick news updates. Our friend Dakota and Chris over at Two in the Pinku let us know just recently that the standard edition of the Connie releasing double feature Pink Cut and Top Stripper is back in stock at Vinegar Syndrome. That was out of stock for
a while.
Yeah. But they are big fans of these, and they are two colorful 1980s Nikatsu Roman pornos that, you know, from the way they've described them, they sound really fun and like a good intro to the Roman porno if you're unfamiliar. So I'm excited about those. I just ordered those when I saw that they were back in stock. I haven't checked what they're at now, but those might not be around for long. So grab them if you want them. Yep.
They might be gone by the time this episode comes out.
So, exactly.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know.
The other thing is the Bunny Yeager documentary, Naked Ambition. That is out now on Blu-ray and DVD from Music Box Films. It's also available on demand if you'd like to do it that way. But I haven't seen it yet, but I am going to. But Casey has seen it, and you've said good things.
Great. Yeah, it's really good. And it's on Blu-ray and DVD, and it has extras, which is great, including deleted outtakes from the interviews they did because they interviewed a lot of people. So yeah.
Thanks for noting that, because if you look at some of the details for it, it doesn't note that there are extras, but they are on there. Yep, I think there's an interview with the directors, right?
Yeah, and then then the big thing for me is the outtakes. I want to see who they interviewed, what was cut from the movie.
Yeah, good point. Yep. Tell us about this. You cannot stop talking about the amazing transplant.
No, apparently not. Well, because I think I mentioned on our Q&A episode that was wasn't really a hot take, but it still sticks in my craw that this film is beloved by a lot of people, even in its edited version. And I don't know. I didn't want to be alone in my rage about it. So I misspoke and said that it was between 7 to 10 minutes that was cut. Bruce Holochek reviewed this on Modern Digital, and it is almost exactly 7 minutes of footage that is missing. It's not just little itty bits and pieces here. It's substantial footage missing from this movie. And I'm not going to go over it all. I'm just going to. It'll be in our show notes, and it's also, if you go to Mondo Digital and go to Nathaniel Thompson's reviews of the Doris Wishman's Blu-ray sets, he actually has a link to Bruce's review where he goes into detail about what exactly is missing. And it's not great. It's very disappointing. So that's my only update. So I will continue to poke the bear as far as this goes.
Hey, maybe down the road we can get a re-release of with this intact.
Actually, you know what? AGFA has done that. They reissued That Pussy and something else with longer versions. So this and Double Agent 73 both have footage that needs to be reinstated. So yeah.
Anyways, yeah, we can't stop talking about Mondo Digital.
Yeah, Nathaniel, my buddy. Love
Thank you, Nathaniel, for the nice review of The Girl, the Body, the Pill.
Oh,
Everybody
yes.
go check that out.
Yeah, that was good to see. I mean, yeah, it's always good when he reviews something that I worked on because a lot of it is hardcore that he doesn't necessarily cover. It's always nice when it's like, oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Yep, I joked around. Yeah, it's nice to see my name on my favorite website. But yep. Lastly, if you're listening to this now, you should have already seen that we have uploaded Secret Places, Secret Things to our Patreon. So the file is there for you to view. So I don't know, this is something we're trying out, especially with this one because, this film is so hard to find. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like, I've heard from certain people that don't like to listen to our episodes until they've seen the movie. So we'll try this out. We're putting that up there for people to watch before they listen, or, I guess you can watch it after. You can watch it after as well. But yep, that's up on our Patreon. Again, that's our plug, I guess. It's only $3 a month. And it's just, it's less about making money for us than just being able to share sometimes mature content, in the one place that we're allowed to do it these days, I guess. So yeah, check it out. We'll have that in the show notes.
Mm-hmm. I'm also going to be uploading an issue of Adam Film World with interviews with Neola Graef and Kathy Hilton, who we're both going to be discussing very, very good roles in this movie that they did not really get in the industry. But the interviews are done by William Rotzler, who they were both very close to. And so they're really in depth. You get to learn a lot about them. And so I'm going to upload that to the Patreon as well. And there's other interviews with Ushi Digard, Donna Stanley, Cindy Hopkins. So it's really just a really great all-encompassing interview magazine. And they're not fake interviews either. They're real interviews. Like a lot of the facts that are said in those interviews can be confirmed. So yeah. It's not like a lot of other interviews that Adam did with that were fabricated. No, these were actually real because they were all very close to Rotzler, all the girls in that magazine.
Yep, great.
Good pictures in that too.
Well, so you guys have met before, right?
Sure, yeah.
A few times, yeah.
At screenings, and we used to communicate on message boards years ago, and when things could get really fiery.
Mm-hmm.
So
message boards, yes, exactly. I don't miss the message boards that much. Reddit has replaced those now, and they're not. It's not that much fun over there either.
No.
Well, I'm curious. This was your pick. We gave you like carte blanche on this. Mm-hmm. So tell us why you picked this movie.
Well, I wanted to do something first of all, that fit the Sin Syndicate. That would be something within the realm of interest for your listeners and for you and Casey. Something that I figured you had seen or you would be able to get a hold of if you hadn't seen it, but something that not a lot of people have seen because it was unavailable for a long time. And I honestly, I'm not sure exactly where this copy came from, although I think it may have originated in an overseas video release that Charles Devlin found, I think.
Oh.
I think he was the source for it. I don't even remember where I got my copy, but it was, I believe, either right before COVID or in 2020 during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure, but it was probably like 6 years ago at least. It may have come, actually, I believe the source was Charles Devlin, but I got my copy from somebody who knows or knew Gary Kent. Somebody in Austin, I believe, sent me a copy of it. And I forgot the person's name, but at one point they had asked me to scan the press book because I have the press book and I had uploaded it to Temple of Schlock years ago as right. There it is. Yep. So I had either scanned it, or I had rescanned, or I had just sent this person the scans that I had done for the blog post, and then they wrote back to me and said, "Oh, we got a copy from somewhere. It might be cut because it's only an hour long or whatever, 62 minutes. It appears to be somewhat cut, but it's the only game in town. Would you like a copy?" I said, "Sure." Yeah. So, but I think I heard later on that the source may have come from overseas.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't watched too many of the sexploitation movies that have come out recently. Just in the last few years, I've just been so busy with the martial arts, with the books that I co-wrote with Grady. Mm-hmm. And then the audio commentaries that I've done for a lot of Japanese movies, some Hong Kong movies. But I did manage to get down to the Library of Congress a couple of years ago and see the Lee Frost movie, The Coming of Seymour, which that's the only copy in existence. So that was one of the movies. But I know I'm one of the few people who's actually seen that movie, so that wouldn't work. And then there was a John Hayes movie that was recently found. Again, it was another endangered list title on my blog. And Alpha Blue Archives, I think, had put that out recently, but I'm not sure. Casey, I don't think you had a copy of that one.
Which one is that? Is that this property condemned?
That's the title it's taking off on.
Okay.
Yeah. It's these sins condemned, I think.
Yes. I think that's it. Yes. John Hayes in
something like that. Marsha Jordan.
Comedy mode. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, comedy mode. John Hayes is not usually very good.
It's not my favorite. Yeah.
But yeah, I had gotten a copy of that, but there were very few things that I'd seen recently, but I remember this one and I like this one a lot. And I like the sort of remake, Pink Motel.
Oh, okay.
Is a lot of fun.
Well, I'm happy you picked it because I hadn't seen it, and I think it's amazing. And you also, I think, had a special interest in Gary Kent. Was that? What's your interest there?
Well, I knew Gary Kent, not as well as I knew Edward Blessington. I used to talk a lot to Ed Blessington on the phone the last couple of years of his life, around 2012, 2013. He reached out to me because another movie on my blog that was an endangered list title was found, The Blue Hour.
Right.
But he contacted me before that had been found and was asking me if I knew where to get a copy. I said, no. So I noticed, you had some information about this movie. He said he really liked making it. So he was on the lookout for it. He was also looking for Tom Jones Rides Again,
right?
The Albert Zugsmith movie. And he's the lead in that as well. And I think this was right around the time Caged Men, aka Caged Men Plus One Woman, and I'm Gonna Get You, Elliot Boy, I think was the original title, the Canadian movie that he made with Ed Forsyth. This was right before that started to come out, and because that had been hard to find for a while, and there was a print that was shown in LA on one of my trips. So he had been asking about that as well. So there are like at least 3 movies that he was curious about that were at the time when he first contacted me were lost, and then Caged Men and then Blue Hour were found, and he was able to see them again. In fact, we were hoping to get him to do something for the Blue Hour DVD from Vinegar Syndrome.
Right.
And I'm not sure why that didn't happen, but they sent him a copy of the disc when it came out. Or I think maybe they couldn't get, or he didn't want to appear on camera. I don't remember what it was, but or else he was hard to get hold of. And then because he would travel around the world, he was quite the traveling man, and he may have been out of the country and we couldn't couldn't get hold of him. But then when the DVD came out, I know they sent him a copy of it.
Good.
Let's talk about him again a little bit later.
Yeah.
But I think Casey had a question about he wanted to talk more about your endangered list.
I did.
Okay. Yeah.
Because, because I think, I know I'm not the only one. I think first of all, Temple of Schlock, amazing. Incredible. And it's such a great reference source that I constantly go back to over and over and over. Nice. But it's interesting because I know multiple boutique labels have used that as kind of like not like a want list. It's like, okay, this is endangered because Chris posted on Temple of Schlock. Let's find this, because I know the Code Red Boys did. I know Joe Rubin has. I know Agfa has. Yeah. So and I guess I'm interested in how that started with the endangered list, and was, it seems like there wasn't any kind of like, it wasn't like a regularly scheduled thing. It kind of seemed like you would just find newspaper ads or press books and it would be like, oh, this has disappeared completely. And then you try to capture as much info as you could in the blog to kind of offer some clues as to where these movies went.
Right. Yeah. I had brought the, Temple of Schlock started off in the 80s as a fanzine that I did in high school with a friend of mine. And then my friend bailed on it after a couple of years. And then so I did it until the early 90s, like maybe it was like 91 or 92. And then, in the mid to late 90s, I started writing for magazines like Shock Cinema and Fangoria and Badass Mofo and some other indie zines. And when I got on the internet, after I stopped fighting everybody on the message boards for a couple of years there, I decided to bring back Temple of Schlock, and because I saw a lot of blogs were becoming really popular. And like Richard Harlan Smith, who's a friend of mine, he was doing a blog for a long time under pseudonym. And I knew who he was and a few other people, but it was a really popular blog. And they used to do these things called blogathons, where blogs would cross over. Like they'd say, oh, we're going to do James Hong week. So 10 different blogs would review movies or do something about James Hong. So I got into that for a while, but my whole thing is that I've gotten faster. I've gotten a lot faster, but I used to be a really slow writer. It would take me a long time to write reviews of movies, and I just wanted to have content. I wanted to have regular content on the blog, be able to put something up every couple of days. And I had these press books. So I decided a lot of the press books I had were for movies that were lost, like The Coming of Seymour. I had a press book for it under one of its re-release titles, The Boob Tube Strikes Again. I had some other press books for like lost movies, and Miss Leslie's Dolls is another one. I just decided, well, why don't I have a regular feature where I just spotlight these movies that are nowhere to be found. I've never seen them. I've tried to talk to people, and get a lead on, where these movies are. So it just seemed like an easy way to have content up, to put something up like once a week. I could do I could put a movie up on the endangered list. It was called Lost and Still Not Found. But I kept getting emails from people who were saying, that's not lost. I know somebody has a print of it. Like one of the movies I put up was a skit comedy from the 70s called 69 Minutes. Which is, it's like a Groove Tube or Kentucky Fried Movie type of film. And Ant Timpson wrote to me. He's like, oh, I have a print of it. I was like, well, it's not readily available, Ant.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, how would you confirm that they were lost or not?
Right, exactly. So I said, you know what, I should just eliminate the word lost from this, because it's not lost. It's not London after midnight.
Right.
It's just nobody
hard
really
to
knows.
See. Yeah.
There's like one print, and it's in Australia.
We've had that discussion too on our podcast with our friend Alex as well. Like, how do we describe these films that are, we know there's prints or a print somewhere, but it's impossible for, most people to see. So, I mean, it's not really lost. It's endangered. That's a perfect word.
Right.
Yeah. There was another one that has been, found and put out on DVD called Dirty Dolls with John Alderman.
Yeah.
And
Sharon Kelly. Yep.
Yep. And I think there was a print where there were like 2 reels of it or something that were in a window of a pawn shop. And Joe Rubin would tell me about it. I think it was a pawn shop in like LA or Chicago. I'm not sure where, but he said that like this store had like a reel or 2 of the Dirty Dolls in the window, and he was trying to get. And then there was like a massive collection of prints that were found at the they were being stored at the Kinsey Institute. And these are all things that had come from 42nd Street in the late 80s and had been shipped to Kinsey because some of them were sex movies. I mean, there were a lot of hardcore films in there and some softcore films, and then there were other things like Warrior of the Lost World and Fred Williamson movies like Foxtrap and everything. So it was this massive thing, and it ended up all going to the Alamo, to AGFA. And there was an episode of Storage Wars in which that, pallets of these films all went over to Austin. And among those was a print of Dirty Dolls. So that's what we showed at the Endangered Fest in 2013. We showed that print of the Dirty Dolls. So Joe Rubin didn't have to crawl into the window and steal a reel of the film from this pawn shop.
Right.
But that's where it came. That's how it came about. Yeah,
I think it's still used as kind of like a go-to list because I think I think you've kept adding to it as well. I mean, and then I think there are some that you've marked as found. It doesn't mean they are available. It just means they're there. So if somebody wants to try to reissue this, maybe let's get on it. Yeah.
Because people will tell me, like Joe will let me know about things that are available, or like something will turn up, but it'll be a VHS transfer.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they can't do anything with it, but
he'll
send me a copy of it and I'll get to watch it. Like, I mean, that's pretty much what happened with this movie, with Secret Places, Secret Things.
I think he sent it to me actually, because I mean, or Charles, one of them did. Might have been Charles. Yeah. And I remember, I guess just now to get back into the nitty-gritty about this amazing movie, I remember that I watched it and I was really pretty blown away. I mean, even for a 60-minute movie, there is such great texture, and there's such great attention to character and performance and creating it. It feels like a bunch of one-act plays that are kind of, edited together. And I immediately I think I messaged Joe and I was like, please tell me that you have some kind of film elements for this. And he was like, no, I don't. And I was just like, okay, well, this is just going to be this little buried secret, I guess, that I'm hoping more people get to see, because it really is. The operative word I use when I describe it to people is special. There's just something very special about it. And especially in 1971, when a lot of cheap 16mm stuff in storefront theaters and then hardcore coming around, like, it is such an anomaly for 1971.
Yeah, I think that's when I first saw it, I was telling Casey, just like, this is just, it's painful to watch this because I know this is never going to get restored. We're never going to see like a clean version of this, and this is all we have. But, it is still great that it exists because, it's such a strange film because it almost feels like it shouldn't exist. There's something weird, kind of like haunting about it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This the rain and, just these stories of these people that just sort of drift. The movie just kind of drifts away at the end. It never really closes.
Yeah.
It appears, well, it does say the end. So the ending is there, but I'm wondering if there is some, because this probably ran 70 minutes, I'm guessing. it probably wasn't 62 minutes originally, and it does have obvious things missing, like there are some edits that probably print damage. I don't, although there is, it seems like there are some edits done for nudity, like trimming some of the nudity, and maybe the sex scenes also were trimmed a little bit. But I'm guessing it probably ran 70 minutes. Like I don't think there's a running time listed in the press book. I would have put it on the blog post.
I think there is. I think it says 67. I think it says 67 minutes.
Okay.
I could be wrong, or that could be something that I'm just like, no. I thought it said 67. Oh yeah, Secret Places, Secret Things, runtime 67 minutes. Okay. It's on the key. Right. It's not, they hit it in the key, right? I was like, I never noticed that before when I looked at it. Yeah. Okay. So, but that's roughly 70 minutes. Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah.
So there's like 5 or 6 minutes missing from this, which is not bad. I mean, the only version of the suckers we have is missing a whole reel. It seems right. There are other movies that just exist as fragments. I think at least one of the Reviver titles that Vinegar Syndrome's working on, I think, is missing a reel because it was just damaged so much that they can't do it.
We'll take what we can get. I mean, at this point, when it comes to lost films, and I think within the community of those of us who want to see these films, we will absolutely take what we can get. It's just it is what it is, and it helps when you understand the distribution woes and the preservation woes, and it's just that's kind of like the Milligan stuff that we're getting in like foreign language prints and cut for content. It's like this is it. I would rather have that than nothing. And in this case of this movie, it's like I don't know. You definitely notice that stuff is cut, but it doesn't. It still organically flows really well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of where I must have first heard about this movie in the Psychotronic video interview with Gary Kent, where it was mentioned that he had directed it. But
did he mention it, or was it?
It was mentioned in the article. I don't think he said it, but he must have told them that he directed it. And so that they put it in the article, because I don't know where else they would have gotten that from, except maybe he mentioned that he had directed it. But in his book, he says that he wrote it.
I know. Let me tell you, I ordered that book, and when I got here, read through the whole thing. I was so mad. I was just like, Gary, what is going on? Because I spoke to him briefly about it, and he said, when he told me he co-directed it. And so, just to have the two mentions in the book where he only mentions that he wrote a script called Secret Places, and then he says, I made this movie with Mike McFarland, this exploitation movie, and that's it. And that's it's kind of, I don't know if it's because maybe at the time he was writing those, 2009, well before anything surfaced of this. So maybe it was just kind of like, not worth talking about because no one's going to be able to see it. Maybe.
Yeah, we've been debating this. What do you think, Chris? Like, what's the deal with Gary Kent in this movie? He doesn't seem to talk about it very much.
I don't know. I mean, he didn't deny making it, because I think I asked him about it at one point, and I may have even mentioned that I had a copy of it, or somebody down in Austin, I guess, that gave me the copy had given it to him. I just think that at that time, these movies were, I mean, he was probably Screen Actors Guild at that point, or he was in some guild. And, like Ed Blessington used to use the name Mark Edwards.
Yeah, to get around SAG. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And, when he made the Bang Bang Gang, there was more money on that film than some of the other ones. And it was screened for the Hollywood Reporter, and he got a really good review in that. So even though he had done it as Mark Edwards, it had been screened for the Hollywood Reporter, and they asked, who is that actor? And Ed Forsyth said, that's Edward Blessington. So his real name went into the Hollywood Reporter review.
Wow.
And so he actually got an agent briefly based on that. And then when it was re-released, I think when it was re-released as the Gun Girls, because they edited it to get an R rating, and Crown International put it out, he asked for his real name to be put on it. At that point,
he said,
I'll risk the Screen Actors Guild. Yeah,
that's interesting.
So I think that may have had something to do with why Gary Kent maybe. Because all those guys, like Gary Graver, had a long career making hardcore films.
Which he denied until literally the day he died. Because someone contacted him the day before he died, and he said no, and then all of a sudden, gone. Yeah, he was like, nope, I'm taking this to the grave. I am not admitting to one inch of truth about this. Yeah.
Get us a room in that hotel, and I'll show you some chicks my grandma taught me.
How do you want me to sign the register, man and wife?
Honey, you lay a 10 spot on that desk, and they'll let you sign the register. Whitey got a heart on.
Well, where did I hear that this was made for Pussycat Theaters?
That was Gary.
Yeah, was that from Gary?
Gary said that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of what I had assumed, that, he just considered it, it's just like a throwaway movie he made for the Pussycat Theaters. He didn't really think that much about it, but I don't know. I think he captured like kind of magic in a bottle here. I don't even know if he intended to, but it just something happened with this cast and this crew. It just they hit something.
Yeah, and he had Louis Horvath shooting the movie, and Louis Horvath shot a lot of the Al Adamson movies. The ones that Gary Graver didn't shoot or Vilmos Zsigmond didn't. It was Louis Horvath, who was also he was one of the Hungarian cinematographers. He was the one who didn't go on to win Oscars and But you could see, especially that shot with Eric Stern, where he's in the foreground and the prostitutes in the background, and Horvath keeps pulling focus between them. I mean, that's totally Vilmos Zsigmond and Richard Rush, who Gary Kent was working with, on 2 or 3 movies prior to this, Savage 7 and Psych Out and Hell's Angels on Wheels. Yeah, I mean that's what they were doing there. I was at there's much less distance between the two subjects that you had than in Savage 7, for example, where he's got like people I don't know how far away, and there's racking focus between Adam Rourke and some motorcycle that's half a mile down the road or whatever. So it's to a much lesser degree, but still that's that influence. You can see that influence of working with Richard Rush and Vilmos Zsigmond. That must have been Gary Kent, saying, why don't we do what they do, with the rack focus.
Right. And that's why, I guess that is part of that texture, is that for something that probably was shot very quickly, very cheaply, it's not phoned in technically. Like, it obviously scenes like that. It's kind of like, oh, they're creating depth of field in this little room in like a sex film. They don't need to do that. But clearly there's like, no, we want this to be good. They care about the product, which is, again, 1971, not a lot of people doing that, for this particular audience,
Sure.
And
it's because they were working on, American International Productions, let's say, Dick Clark Productions and more legit, drive-in movies, let's call them. And also dolly shots. Like there's like a nice dolly shot in the office of the hotel or the motel, it's a hotel, and and even in the writing, in the writing of the script, like why would you include, if you're just knocking off an exploitation softcore film for Vince Miranda, why would you include the scene where the hotel manager or owner, gives the $1 back to that couple for breakfast? So, do you have any money for breakfast here? It's a really nice scene. Or any of those scenes between the owner of the hotel and the bellboy, or whatever.
Yes, the guy with the harmonica, right?
Yeah,
and that music adds that really nice atmosphere too. It feels like a real, honest to God hotel with real people in it. Yeah, it's like it's really astonishing the care that was put into this. And I will just say, before, in preparation for this, I was working on the notes over the weekend, and this was one that I was watching on file on my computer, and I just, once it finished, I just pressed play again. Like I think I had it on a loop like 4 times, because I was just kind of, it's a very comforting film. All things considered, it's just, yeah, like Gentry said, it's just a lightning in the bottle kind of.
Yeah, it's very watchable. There's something that's very watchable about it. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Come on, this place isn't so bad. I'll tell you what. Why don't we turn out the lights? Get in bed. You'll think it's the Hilton.
You son of a bitch! All right. What's the routine? Do I strip now or kiss your feet first or what? I mean, all your class overwhelms a girl.
But you mentioned Gary Graver. And we're talking about sort of the production here. There's no editor that we know of listed for this, correct?
Right.
So I don't know. I was watching Sandra, The Making of a Woman, the other day, and after I watched this, and I noticed some similarities in editing style. So I was asking Casey, like, do you think Gary Graver edited this? I mean, they were friends, him and Kent, and I mean, he was in this circle. So I don't know. That's my. I know we don't like to do like suppositions here, but I don't know. It does kind of look like Gary Graver style editing.
The connections are there also because of the Grads Corps connection. I mean, it's interesting to note the connections. I mean, it started in The Hard Road, which Gary was in for Graver directing, and then Jay Fineberg is in that. And Jay Fineberg was the owner of Grads officially. And then Sandra the Making of a Woman is Grads, directed by Gary Graver, production managed by Gary Kent. And so it's kind of, I feel like it's not too much out of the realm of possibility that Gary would have helped his friend out with this little movie, especially because he already knew the Grads people. And so, yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting the way that it'll cut to the other room, like for a split second. And
it does the same thing in Sandra. Like it'll cut like the flash forward cuts and the flashback cuts. It does that just like, it's just like totally non-linear at random times, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, they all ran in the same circle. Paul Lewis, who had produced Easy Rider, and you know, the cinematographers and the editors and producers and everything. They were all, you know, working on each other's films at that time. So yeah, it by all means, it could have been for a couple of days. I mean, how long did it take to edit the movie, really?
Right.
It could have been Gary Graver for a couple of days, or, you know, an afternoon or something. He could have worked on a few different scenes and then passed it on to somebody else. That whole that style, like of Easy Rider, where they would flash between the two scenes. I mean, that was done because there wasn't enough coverage. And they didn't know what to do in this one sequence, and editing right next door was Jack Starrett, who was working on Run Angel Run. And so Dennis Hopper knew Jack Starrett because Jack Starrett had almost been in Easy Rider playing the Jack Nicholson role. So he went next door and was watching the editing of Run Angel Run. And they were doing that. They were bouncing back and forth between scenes because they didn't have enough coverage. And so Dennis Hopper was like, man, that's great. Do you mind if I do that? So he went next door and did that. So sometimes that was done because of that, for that reason. They just didn't have enough coverage. There was just jarring cuts from one scene to the next.
Yep. So I know what Casey thinks about the music in this movie. I want to ask you, Chris,
don't get me started. Don't get me started. My holy grail of library music.
It's a key part of the film, I think. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And making it kind of all work together, that theme, that main, I think it's called Loveland. Yeah, Casey, you said there's the vocal version is called Loveland.
Yes, well, it was done in 2 versions, because in the kind of I guess the source of this is Ride the Hot Wind, because that's where the music is at least credited to Jack Millman, and the woman who sang Loveland, I think, co-wrote it. But that's where you hear a lot of this music, and there's a sitar piece in this that's also in that.
Did Hot Wind come out before this?
Hot Wind was 71. But Jack Millman was music industry's a library guy, so it's possible that this was done in 1970 and then wasn't put into a movie and credited until 71, possibly. But it shows up in everything. It's always California stuff too. It's always, it's sexploitation, hardcore stuff in like 70, between 71 and like 75. It shows up in this stuff.
Millman, you're talking about Millman stuff in particular?
Yeah, the Millman stuff. Yeah, the music industry stuff.
Was he Toy Box too?
Pieces appear in Toy Box, yeah. Like the sitar piece is in the Ushi Digard scene where she's felt up by the bed sheets. Yeah. Okay. And then the instrumental version of Loveland is in the picnic scene. So yeah, it shows up everywhere. It really shows up everywhere. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I tried tracing it to distributors and then tried tracing it to like library music LPs. It's very difficult to trace.
Yeah. Well, there was it was an Ego Cantor used to do. He used to that was one of his jobs, was doing music editing or music supervision, which meant he had a stack of library records. Yeah. And he would just pick out pieces to use in the movies. One of the funniest ones was Alley Cat, the movie from the 80s.
Oh, yes.
The martial arts one. I was watching that. I mean, I had seen it years ago, but someone was showing a print of it at the Alamo Draft House, and this and that's from like 1983, I think that was made, and it says Ego Cantor music supervision, and there's some library track from a decade earlier that pops up in that movie. It was like you used to hear in Filipino movies, but yeah, that it's probably somebody like Ego Cantor worked on this movie. Just would use those records or wherever they got the tracks from. I know Joe Solomon, getting back to Run Angel Run and The Losers and those movies, he made a deal with Stu Phillips to sell some of that music. So you hear tracks from Hell's Angels on Wheels or Run Angel Run in like the Manson Massacre. Yeah. There's Stu Phillips music from that, and then the one that I saw down at the Library of Congress, The Coming of Seymour. There's music from Hell's Angels on Wheels in that because they just sold it as library cues.
Yeah, that reminds me of, and I asked Stu about this, and he didn't have a clue. So the Jess Franco movie Venus in Furs has Stu Phillips music from The Name of the Game is Kill in it.
Yeah,
and he had no idea why this Harry Alan Towers movie would have his American music in this international co-production. Right. And I said, yeah, it was the year after Name of the Game is Kill came out, and all of a sudden your music is in this movie. And he said, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I have no idea how that got in there. It's very weird.
It was, I have an article, I think, out of Box Office or Variety, where Joe Solomon had made a deal to sell music from his films as library music. And
so wild. Wow. That's crazy.
You're in the martial arts world. You're dealing with stolen library music every day.
Yep. Yes.
Getting back to the movie we're talking about, Eric Stern was quite the martial artist.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Ed Blessington told me that, and then it's actually in his obituary. Like Ed had studied with him, I think, karate. I think they just did some form of karate together. And Ed could not remember their sensei's name, but he said he looked just like Frank Sinatra, and he had a little tiny Japanese girlfriend who taught with him. And so wow. Ed and Eric Stern used to go to this guy for karate, and Eric Stern actually had a black belt in karate, judo, jiu-jitsu, and aikido. And wow. He was he was really into physical fitness. He had played half a season with the Minnesota Vikings, and then he blew out his knee and was no longer. This was like 1960 or 61, I think.
I wonder if he knew John Saxon. Maybe they had the same sensei.
That's interesting. Well, Eric Stern, because he plays the oldest college student in the world in this movie, but he's in great shape. I mean, he looks a lot younger than he was.
Well, now I'm thinking back to the Love Butcher that he was in. If he did any like action stuff in there, I can't remember.
I don't remember.
I'll keep an eye on it next time I rewatch that. See if he does any kicks and punches.
Yeah.
Well, he was in a Charles Bronson movie, right, in the 80s. He was in Assassination. I think he's the villain in that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about them with Jill Ireland being... oh, yeah, of course, Jill Ireland, right? Yeah.
Yeah, his online credits are so messed up because of his pseudonyms that he used.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. Ed knew him as James Lemp.
Yeah.
He said that was his name was James Lemp, but his actual name was Bernard Louis Lemp III.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what, and it's funny because that's the name in the obituary, and then it says also known as Eric Stern and James Lemp. But that information, like his birth date and his death date, made it to the IMDb, but his real name didn't. But that's that was his name. He was from Boise, Idaho, and his family is like famous in Boise, the Lemp family, because his great grandfather is like credited as the person who brought German beer to Idaho, and he was like the beer baron of Idaho. And there've been like a couple of books written about that family. And he went back, Eric Stern went back to Idaho, I think in the early 90s, to live there. And I think he did like acting classes and maybe martial arts classes also, until he passed away. But yeah, it was a really wealthy German family. In fact, when he chose the name Eric Stern for his Hollywood name, Eric in German is king, or eternal ruler, I think is the actual translation of it. But it's it's basically king, and then Stern is star. So he thought he'd call himself King of the Stars, basically, Eric Stern.
Nice, I like that.
Yeah, but it was beer money. Yeah, they were. It was millionaire family, very very wealthy family.
What was how long was he around before he went back to, like, he basically stopped acting in Hollywood movies? What was there a reason why, or?
I'm not sure. I think like in the late 80s, but he did a lot of TV work in the 80s, and then a few movies like the Bronson one, and then I'm not sure why he went back to Boise. It may have been like a family thing, because I found like a legal notice. You know how you don't really see it too much now, because there really aren't that many newspapers anymore. But it used to be you would have to put a legal notice in the newspaper for different things. Like, let's say you were closing out an estate. You had to post something for a certain period of time to make sure that all the creditors who were owed money were notified that somebody passed away. Something. I saw a legal notice about like what must have been his ex-wife, like him saying basically he has no more debt or something to somebody who had the same last name or both. It was like Lemp and Stern. It was Susie Stern, aka Susie Lemp. I no longer owe any money to something like that. I saw. So it may have been for who knows what reason.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, here you are, son. Number 7.
Wow, 7's a lucky number.
Well, you say so.
I did want to talk about Mike McFarlane, just because it's interesting that he decided to remake this movie, but I guess kind of abandon the dramatic thrust of the original, kind of replace it with comedy. Yeah, I mean, because this one has light humor, but I think it's more interested in like moments of not even really drama. It's like a slice of life movie. So it's like it's warm humor, but it's not like, overt humor like Pink Motel.
You kind of compared it to like an Altman movie, didn't you, Casey?
It feels like an Altman movie, and not in the way that Altman's like the dialogue overlaps and that kind of thing, but just the cutting back and forth between people. A lot of people centered around one location, and they don't ever encounter each other, which is really interesting. And it's very self-contained.
I was kind of waiting for them to. I was waiting for the movie to do that at the end, and I was kind of surprised it didn't. I thought there was going to be like some connection at the end, but no, I wasn't disappointed in that way. I'm just saying,
right.
Well, that's another
movie would have made them do an orgy or something. It would have closed it out with an orgy, and that's just that's not the name of the game here, right?
Yeah, it's not Tale of the Dean's Wife, even though it is half the cast.
I love that movie, but this is not Tale of the Dean's Wife. Yeah, no.
I like it. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Is it avoids contrivance? I mean, really, the only connection you have is the scene where the older man who's visiting Malta has that interaction in the hallway with the bellhop, where the bellhop's like, that guy gave me 25 cents. I went over and got a bottle of whatever. Dom Perignon.
Right. I love that.
Well, I haven't seen Pink Motel. Have you seen it?
I haven't either.
We just heard from our friend. Our friend that recently rewatched it and he didn't love it, but
I like it, but it's not
not Secret Places, Secret Things.
No, it's not. But what they basically did was they took 3 of the 4 stories, and then they did not use the Malta story, which is that's probably the most dramatic one. I mean, that's the one, and it's also it's really not clear like what's going on. I don't know if it was written that way or if it was, obscured by print damage or something. I don't know. I mean, what was she like she worked for him, for his family? I mean, that's what I gathered, is that she was, and they were having an affair or something, or she ran away. I don't know. It's not clear.
That's the one part of the movie that was a little unclear for me. But I read in when you originally reviewed it, Chris, I think that's what you had said, that she was like a babysitter to them.
Yeah, the press book says she is. Yeah, and I think, and that's why it's kind of like, we haven't seen you in a while. And then he asked when school starts. So, and you have to. If you don't have access to the press book, you don't know that she's a college student that's moonlighting to make money for college. So she's, a prostitute and a babysitter for the suburban family. And you kind of have to put that together from the press book, because the film isn't going to tell you.
Yeah. So they left that out of Pink Motel, and then they came up with this really silly story. I mean, it's funny, but it's silly. It's these 2 guys who pick up these 2 women. One's Charlene and one's Marlene, and the only room that they can get at the Pink Motel it's 1 room with 2 beds. So there's all sorts of low comedy about them like trying to build a wall between the beds so they could get it on with these 2 girls, and it's silly, but in doing that and in replacing that story, that it lost all drama. Really.
Right.
And then the story that Kathy Hilton and Ed Blessington are in, where he's an office, I guess he runs an office and she's his secretary. They change it to 2 attorneys, like one's a prosecutor, one's a defender, and it's Squire Friedel, who you might remember from the old salad dressing commercials in the 80s. And I don't remember what else. Maybe he was a stage actor. And then Andrea Howard is the other, the one that he's having an affair with. But it's the same thing. She ends up, although in Pink Motel, instead of writing a message to the wife under the collar, she just writes in lipstick on the back of his shirt, I just had an affair, or something like that. Like, and then he turns around, puts his jacket on, and you see it that way. And then the football player and the prostitute, that's in there also. And so it's 3 of the 4. 3 of the 4 stories made it in. And
is
then
Gary Kent credited?
No, he's not. Maybe under a pseudonym, because I think there are a couple of writers. Jim Kauf is the one who did them, because I think Mike McFarlane gets story credit maybe, and then Jim Kauf is the main screenwriter, and this was when he was writing like Without Warning and
Great.
I think he wrote the Boogans also. He was writing like these little B movies before he became, Stakeout and the bigger movies that he became known for. So see, he's credited with the screenplay, but I mean, they made a lot of changes to it, but it's the same basic, and it's a motel rather than a hotel, and instead of the older owner and the younger bellhop, they made it a married couple. It's Slim Pickens and
so they can have the bickering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And they probably shot like 2 days. They probably had enough money to get them for like 2 days. What's funny is they're wearing a uniform, like a pink uniform, to go with the pink motel motif. And Phyllis Diller, when she got on the set, she's like, I feel like I'm working in a bottle of Pepto-Bismol. So she kept referring to it as the Pepto-Bismol hotel and everything. So they actually worked a line of dialogue in for her where she said, I feel like I'm working in a bottle of Pepto-Bismol.
That's funny.
It's not a bad movie. I like it. It's not bad.
I do need to see it just because I want to see how it was translated like a decade later. But I must say, even the change from like the under the collar to just writing it on the shirt, I love the collar moment in the original because it's just so like it's letting this guy walk away thinking that he got what he wanted, and it's like, well, anyway.
It's subtlety, secret places, secret things is subtle, and Pink Motel is not. It's it's post Animal House and Caddyshack and everything. So it wants to be that, and not necessarily a kind of moody, atmospheric sexploitation movie from a decade earlier.
Yeah,
right.
So it sounds like.
But he stayed friends with Gary Kent because he put up a lot of the money, or he raised a lot of the money for Gary's movie, The Pyramid, in the mid 70s. And he did go on to other things. I mean, he didn't just do Pink Motel. He made Goodbye Franklin High, which and he did that movie with Deborah Raffin, I think, was Wishing on a Star. It was like a musical film. I never saw it, but he did some other things. Yeah, he was a business. I think it was a Stanford University business school student who he wanted to be an actor, but he couldn't act. That's what Gary Kent wrote in his book. And he said, so he figured he had the business degree, he would become a producer, but he didn't want to be like a stuffy suit producer. He wanted to be like in there, with everybody and one of the guys. So he seems like a cool guy.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I once I read the book, once I finally got Gary's book and was reading through it, I immediately regretted not badgering Gary more for information about this movie, because now we're not going to get it. But I do remember that he said he co-directed it, and I always wondered about that. I stupidly never asked who it was, but so Neola Graef's resume lists the movie as Main Street and says it was directed by Ron Nicholas, who was the acting president of Graef Corp. And I don't know if that's even accurate. I don't know if she maybe put him as the director because he was the producer, because it was Graef Corp. But it's interesting because there's never any co-director credit on this. It's not on the press book or on the movie, and so it just made me wonder, like, who was the other person if not Ron Nicholas.
I don't. It could have been McFarland.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
That's true too. Yeah, that's true too.
If he was producing it, but the money came from Miranda from Pussycat. So and I wonder if McFarland made any others. if he made any other adult movies.
Right. There are so many movies from this era that have no credits. And so it really does kind of make you wonder, well, who really did this? And especially when you have some that are shockingly technically well done. And it's like, okay, somebody was moonlighting in this genre and couldn't just deliver a cheap movie because it was beneath them. They wanted to do something special, even if their name wasn't on it.
Right.
Well, now that you mentioned credits again, I'm wondering if some of the missing footage was the credits, because it is pretty weird that there's no credits.
I wonder.
On this.
Right.
Yeah, it just starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no end credits either. But and yeah, because we have no credits, I mean, we kind of have to go by recognizing the cast to know who's in it. So
and in this like shabby print too, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Unless
I mean, luckily it's just unless you're a sexploitation person, then you would be like, oh, okay, I know Malta, Neola, Graef, I know Kathy Hilton. Actually, Kathy Hilton wasn't. I think I just added her to IMDb because she was not on there. Yeah, because she's very obscure. Kathy Hilton is very obscure. She did a lot of movies, but this is her most substantial role. Like, and same with Malta. They didn't get roles where they were acting, and Malta was in SAG. Like, so, you know, she, you know, Kathy wasn't necessarily an actor, but yeah, all three of the women in this, and unfortunately, we don't know who the black woman was who played the prostitute because I haven't seen her in anything else. But all of like Debbie Osborne, Neola, Graef, and Kathy Hilton are all great in this. I mean, it's really it's very impressive, especially considering that two of those never asked to act. They're usually just nude walk-ons or sex roles. And so they're actually having to play characters that have motive and have really good dialogue, and they're able to develop those characters really, really well. Very surprising.
Yeah. And you know that the two actors in The Office, the owner of the hotel and the bellhop.
Yes, I want to know who they are.
I've seen them before. I just can't. I have no idea where.
I know.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's like it's that's kind of that's the curse of character acting at this time. It's like you're going to show up everywhere, but you're going to have to hope that somebody remembers your name. But I know I've seen them before, and I feel like maybe the older guy at the front desk, the owner, I feel like I saw him in maybe a Graver movie.
Yeah, that's what I want to say too.
Maybe I've seen him in something, and
which again wouldn't be surprising. Yeah,
yeah. You didn't see him in Sandra, did you, Gentry, when you were rewatching?
No, I don't remember him in Sandra.
Okay,
but yeah, he's not. He also he feels like he's giving like a good performance. Like he definitely is an actor. He's not just some guy they, pulled off. Yeah, like even the girls, like they were not known for acting, but everybody's just like delivering. I don't know.
Yeah.
what happened on the set that this magic happened with everybody? Is it the script? Maybe it's just the script.
I mean,
I feel like direction too, probably.
Yeah. I think it's the script, the direction, and also the atmosphere. It just you mentioned the rain, and it's just a nice kind of hangout movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it goes by really quick. It actually feels much more substantial than it is. I mean, it's really on paper, it's very slight. Like if you were just to describe what this movie is, I'm like, well, yeah, this couple comes to the hotel and they have sex for the first time. And yeah, this babysitter has sex with it. It sounds very boilerplate. It really isn't about the execution. And how everyone is really bringing their A game to this little movie for the Pussycat chain that really didn't need to be this good, but everyone involved obviously had pride in their work regardless of what the genre was, that's what you want in sexploitation, to make something good that is enduring.
Yeah. I don't think I've heard Malta have a speaking role with more than like 3 lines. So I was kind of surprised. What's so disappointing. Yeah.
And that's what's disappointing. It's like, so her entire career is like nude walk-ons for like in Rotsler movies and I think she's in The Dirt Gang with Ushi and a few other people. And so this movie, if it hadn't resurfaced, we would have no idea how good she is. I mean, there is nothing really left of her career otherwise that is gives any indication that she could handle a character with dialogue.
Right.
And Kathy Hilton, same thing. Kathy Hilton was in so much garbage. So it's really nice that she's playing this character that like has range and has a character arc. It's and I think that's another reason why I love it so much, because as you know, I'm obsessed with a lot of the women in these movies. So getting to see these actresses given a chance to do something more substantial than just show up and take their clothes off is always very rewarding. Even 50 years later, it's just, it's like, okay, they were able to do something. It wasn't just, show up, take your clothes off and leave. They were able to do something special. And so it's,
it's almost like somebody should ask Malta about this part. Don't you think, Casey?
I want to. So she's around. She is she's in Hawaii. She's very, very active in the arts. She's an activist. She's very involved with water rights and the land back movement of the Native Hawaiians. Yeah, really fascinating woman. And I would like to maybe reach out to her, maybe. Because if she had a chance to see this, she might be more receptive to walking down memory lane, and be like, well, yeah. I mean, it was on her resume. It was on her SAG resume, which is really crazy when you think about it. She was obviously proud of it at some point because she plays a character with a name, which is very uncommon for her. Yeah.
Christ's sake, man. Who are you looking for, J. Edgar Hoover?
Oh, I just don't trust these crummy hotels. I don't like the idea of having some freak watching me.
Honey, all anyone's going to see of you is asshole and elbows.
I'm wondering if there's some kind of, and I'll probably look into this. I didn't get a chance to do it this week. But in the office, I don't know if you noticed, there were show posters. Because I guess there was an LA production of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, hanging up there. And I'm just, I mean, for no other reason, it might be worth looking through the LA Times to get an idea of when this movie was shot, based on, if that show was, or if that was something maybe that McFarlane was involved in. Because, before he made sexploitation movies, Edward Blessington just did stage. I mean, he didn't have any walk-ons in bigger films or anything like that. It wasn't like John Alderman or Adam or these other actors that had these walk-on roles and then just went into sexploitation. He just went right into it, and I think that's the way a lot of the actresses, certainly the actors, but he told me that that's how it happened, was that they were friendly, they knew each other. And then they would bring each other for jobs. Like he got the Blue Hour based on Gary Kent being the production manager on the film.
Nice, right.
So he brought Ed on for that. Ed auditioned and got the lead on the Blue Hour. But they, Eric Stern, Marlon Proctor. Ed didn't really know John Alderman, but he knew people who knew him. So they were all connected, and they all knew Charles Napier. And they were all they were friendly with Charles Napier, but they were. Ed said that they were really, really jealous of. They would hang out with him and everything, but they were over at his place one day, and he got a check from Russ Meyer that was like $185,000 or something like that. And they're like, we're making $50 a day or whatever on these films.
Well, he earned probably every cent of that,
right,
on a Russ Meyer set.
That's true, actually. Yes, and I think Charles did nudity. I don't know if Ed would have. I don't think Ed did nudity. Did he? Is he nude in this? I don't recall.
Yeah, he did. He does nudity in this, and
Sandra. I think he's nude in Sandra, the making of.
Oh, okay. Because some of these actors, they are in them, but they don't actually do nudity. I'm trying to think of a few other examples, but yeah.
No, he did. Yeah, he did nudity in most of these. Yeah. But yeah, he said, based on Cherry, Harry, and Raquel, Napier got an agent who I think also represented Lee Marvin. So yeah. So he really hit the big time with that film. But this is a funny story. Actually, I just remembered. It's the Marsha Jordan movie that John Hayes directed. It's These Pleasures Condemned.
That's it. Yes,
That's
these
the
pleasures
title.
condemned. It's so ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess
so
it's a play.
Marsha Jordan was in a John Hayes movie.
Yeah.
It's a late period. It's a late period John Hayes and late period Marsha Jordan too.
Yeah, it's like 72, I think, or 73.
Yeah, I think it's 72. Is that the one with is Michael Pataki? Michael Pataki's in that.
I think he's in it, yeah.
I think he's in it, yeah. And there's another one around the same time called, I think, Hypnoerotica. No, not Hypnoerotica. Yeah, there's another one, but yeah.
That she's in? That Marsha Jordan's in?
That Pataki's in for John Hayes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because Pataki was in a few other things.
Of them,
he's in a lot of those. Yeah, there's one that he's in where he's fully nude, and he got a sunburn, and he has to be slathered down his whole body with like aloe. So it's him fully nude running around with like this white gunk all over him. Michael must have had a blast doing these, but I don't know. Mr. Pataki.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that movie is interesting. Yeah.
I don't care for it. Becky Sharp is really good in it, but it's otherwise not very good.
Well, yeah, I know we're like poo-pooing John Hayes' comedy, but I'll watch a John Hayes comedy if Marsha Jordan's in it. Yeah.
Yes, so you should see it. She plays like a very uptight, moral majority type. Yeah.
Ed told me a funny story when he got, and I think it was the first movie he made was Marsha the Erotic Housewife.
Yeah, the Don Davis movie.
Yeah. He got to the set, and he's hanging out there, and he said, "Oh, there's this really beautiful blonde. She looks kind of familiar." He said, so I started talking with her, and finally realized that I had known her when I was like 14 years old. And what happened was he had gone to an all-boys school in Alabama, and a couple miles away there was a girls' school. So one of his friends at the boys' school, this guy George, who was from Tennessee, had a girlfriend at the girls' school, and he used to bring her. She would come around, and so Ed got to know her a little bit, and it was Marsha Jordan. It was crazy, like 14-year-old Marsha Jordan. So he's like, years later, he's on the set, and he said they like went to a payphone, and he called George. He's like, "Hey, you're never gonna believe who's."
But that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
For some reason, I picture like 15-year-old Marsha looking exactly the same as like 35-year-old Marsha.
Yeah, he said
maybe not as big hair, but yeah.
Right. It's like, I know wigs. I know her from somewhere. They start talking. And he's like, "Yeah,
that's
George."
That's wild. From Alabama to Hollywood, California. Yeah. That's great. That's great.
Didn't you say, Casey, she went back to was it Alabama when she was done with her career?
She went to like Rancho Cucamonga or something. Some California. She's somewhere in California with ranch. I don't remember. Yeah, because she got married and had a bunch of kids, I believe.
At least it's got running water.
Bob, I've got something to tell you, but I know you're going to get mad.
What is it, honey? I won't get mad.
Yes, you will. I know you're going to get mad.
No, I won't. What's the matter?
Well, you promise you won't get mad?
Sure, I promise. What is it?
I couldn't get the diaphragm.
Oh, shit. I damn well son of a bitch knew it.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Chris, what do you think? Are you a Debbie Osborne fan?
Yeah, I like her. She's fun in this, and she's cute. Yeah, I really like her. Yeah, it's what she was in Cindy and Donna, and the Manson Massacre or the Cult. Yeah. What else did she do?
She did all those buckaloos,
all the buckaloos. Yeah, all the buckaloo. Corn
Southern Comforts, and
Tobacco Roody. Yeah, Midnight Plowboy.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and all those things. Yeah.
That's right. She's one of the women in Midnight Plowboy.
Yeah. Well, actually, related to that, we did an episode on Pete Perry, and You're revealing that you spoke to Pete Perry was like a bombshell to me. So because someone found you quoted that he said no, Buckaloo was a real person.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, Pete Perry spoke? I had no idea. That I thought he was, radio silence forever. So what was that like?
He was not. He was really not very nice. I mean, I talked to him for. I think I called him at least twice and had conversations with him. At one point, his wife picked up, I guess, Sue. Was it Sue
Perry?
Sue Perry, yeah. She picked up the phone one time and she was like, "Oh, it's that guy again."
Oh God.
and I mean, he talked to me. I did an interview with him about Mondo Mod. And he was nice. He was really nice talking about Mondo Mod. But then another time I called and asked him about, I think it was the Young Cycle Girls, and he wasn't too cool about that. And then I started asking him about Bethel Buckaloo and telling him that I had seen in some places that they credited the same, that it was the same person, that Bethel Buckaloo was a pseudonym. He's like, no, that there was a Bethel Buckaloo. He goes, I was not him. But I at least twice I remember calling him, but the longest I spoke to him was maybe 45 minutes, and that was mostly about Mondo Mod. And then whenever I would try to steer it in other directions, he wouldn't be really cool about that.
Interesting.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know. I mean, I should go back and listen to the recordings because I recorded that interview, I know, and I may have recorded the other one. Yeah, maybe I'm just misremembering it, but I know he was pretty gruff, and I didn't get much information out of him about other movies. A lot of it was like pulling teeth, getting info out of him, and not because he was in a hurry or he was busy or anything. I just don't think he liked talking about it. I think with some of these people, like same with Lee Frost, sometimes Lee would talk to me in great detail about things, and then other times he would, I don't know if he was drunk or hungover or what, but he would just get really abusive also, verbally abusive. And then I think some of these filmmakers, they felt like they should have gone on to bigger things, and
they're bitter about it.
And they're bitter, and I agree. I mean, there was no reason except maybe because I've heard Lee Frost had a really bad drinking problem. He should have done movies through the 80s and the 90s. He should have done all those erotic thrillers that Fred Olen Ray and Jim Wynorski used to do. I mean, he made one. He made that one with Michael Christian, which seems like exactly what Lee Frost would make as an 80s erotic thriller, early 90s. I mean, that has him all over it. But he should have done a lot more. And Peter Perry, I don't know what his thing was, but he wasn't a bad filmmaker. I like Young Cycle Girls. I like Mag Wheels, and even that was it. My Boys Are Good Boys or something. It's not terrible. It's it's okay.
That's a Buckaloo. I think he was involved with that.
Right. Yeah. Maybe he just produced that one, but still, they should have done more. A lot of these filmmakers. I mean, John Hayes was pretty talented guy.
Yeah, that's another one.
As well. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, actually, I remember that Lee Frost, you wrote a box copy for Ride Hard, Ride Wild for Something Weird. And that was one of those movies with like a Dutch or a Swedish pseudonym on it. Right. And you document like, well, Lee, this really looks like one of your movies, but it has this weird name on it. And I vividly remember he said, what do you want me to do? Bleed for you here? Just leave it alone. And I'm just like, I could picture that Just got that dialogue in my head. I was like, oh my God, Chris, I don't know how you do it. Because I would cry. I would be, I would burst into tears.
He like Lisa Petrucci cut that because I had more of the interaction between us. And he got really angry because he said, he goes, it's a piece of toilet shit. Leave it at that. That was
damn. I still haven't seen it. I just have the DVD-R. And I was like, this can't live up to this quote. I can't live up to what I think it's going to be. But because that was one of those that he did with like Zero and Scream, right? Because that was kind of it was like Phoenix. Was it Phoenix International?
Right. Yeah.
It was the company.
Armand Damien's company.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which he ran out of the poster service that he ran.
Right. Right.
Like right next door to Dave Friedman's office on Cordova Street, because he printed up all of the posters and the stills and everything for Dave Friedman's company. And also I think Bob Cressy, for Olympic International, a lot of the lower budgeted companies, and not just sexploitation. I think some of the lower budgeted companies like maybe Dimension Pictures or, companies like that. He also printed up their materials, but he would pick up films or produce movies on the side. And so he was partners with Lee on Phoenix International. They were the two partners. And then he ended up partnering with was it Dick Aldridge?
Yes.
Because we were both at that screening, right? There was a screening of like one of his hardcore films.
Oh, Titillation. Yeah, that was a screening I put on. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because during the Q&A.
Connecticut. Yes, that's right, Chris. Yeah, I do remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, because I asked him about Bob Cressy. I said, can you talk about Lee and Bob and everything? Yeah. And that became Freeway Films. I think that
was Armand and then Julia St. Vincent after Armand died. Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I remember Vinegar Syndrome bought that library. And I remember asking him, do you have anything from the pre-Freeway stuff that Armand did? And he was like, no. No, I don't. It's like, oh, great. Okay. Because I was really hoping for a nice like Zero and Scream restoration. I really liked that movie a lot.
Yeah, there was was it Zero and Scream, Ride Hard, Ride Wild, The Captives, Slaves in Cages.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just that one really dismal copy of that's been floating around for years. Sleazy Rider was one.
Oh yes, which was directed by an actor, was it not?
Yeah, it was Roger Gentry.
Roger Gentry, right? Yeah, Jim Gentry, right?
But it has Wes Bishop is in it, and there's a lot of Lee Frost connections in that movie. He was involved. It was Phoenix International, so it was definitely a Lee Frost connection movie. The Mermaid, that was another Phoenix release.
That's right. Renee Bond?
I think so. Yeah.
I just know I know the poster in my head because it's the same guy who did the posters for the Tobalina stuff.
Right, and some of the Friedman posters too.
Yes,
I think.
Yeah.
I think that came from Friedman. I think Friedman just thought it was the worst thing he'd ever seen. And
didn't he lose it at like a poker game or something?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. It was one of those.
He tricked someone into winning it in a poker game. And he's like, great. Yeah. It's off my hands now. Yeah. I think I recall that on one of those commentaries.
And And so he gave it to Armand Damian because he thought it was unreleasable. And then there was a hardcore one also that he lost called The Nibblers, I think.
Oh, terrible French import. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's bad. Yeah, that's very bad. Yeah.
But one of the Phoenix ones that ended up going out through Freeway was it was Gary Graver movie. There Was a Little Girl.
I love that movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that movie. Starring Ed Dupree's wife, Lila Terena. Yeah. And John Alderman.
Yep.
Who we love. Yeah. Great movie.
Was that under another title?
And when she was bad.
That
was the private screenings video.
Yes, and then he remade it as Dollface in Hardcore. Same plot. Yep. Yeah, he couldn't let go of that plot of of a girl corrupting her stepdad or whatever. It's good sexploitation plot, you know.
Well, John Hayes did the same thing, right, with Baby Rosemary. It's kind of a remake of Dream No Evil.
Yes, it is. Yes, a little bit. Yes. Yeah, John Hayes likes his family issues in his movies a lot. Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about Kathy Hilton, but first I just want to talk about Debbie. Last thing about Debbie is
that's your favorite.
I think she's the only one that we don't know where she is or if she's even alive or not, because her name is so common. It's hard to search. Yeah. So listeners out there, or you, Chris, if you ever run across anything on Debbie Osborne, let us know.
That is why I'd like to raid the Novak offices, because if he has talent release forms, that's what I need more than anything, because I need to know real names, dates of birth, possible social security numbers, and even if it's an old address or phone number, public records can usually do good reverse searches on those, even from like 50 years ago.
Well, you said you found you found a newspaper article mentioning that she was from Minneapolis. So I'm in Minneapolis.
It was the Cindy and Donna press book. It has a little blurb, because that press book has bios of everybody. Crown International really went hard promoting that movie, and they wanted to make everyone stars, I guess. But they gave her a little bio, and they said The Manson Massacre was her first movie.
Because she might have come back. She might be back here. Don't know.
Yeah, teaching your kids. Just don't know.
That's what you said.
Yeah, could be teaching your kids, just like Sherry Eubank. Sherry Eubank is in Wisconsin. Super Vixen is teaching kids. Yeah.
Are you sensitive there, darling?
You mean where your mouth is, or where your hand is?
Yeah, Kathy. Yeah, you mentioned that you had to add Kathy to the IMDb. I could see people not knowing who she was because she's lit really dark in this movie, and she already is kind of, she's half Indian, right? So she is kind of dark already. But another great role for her. What did you find out about her, Casey?
Well, I think a lot of people thought she was dead for years because, it was reported in the papers that she'd been shot in like a suicide pact, which was not the case. She was just with a really shitty guy who wanted to kill her and himself because of his mental health issues. She survived, but there were bullet shrapnel left in her head. So she had lifelong seizures for the rest of her life. And she had to be taken care of by a frequent co-star, Gerard Brouillard, who was like a French guy, but she passed away a couple of years ago. But that's why this movie is so interesting and special in another way, is because when you look at her list, or like her CV, basically, it's a lot of no names, like topless girl, harem girl. Like she didn't really play character. She wasn't given dialogue. She was pretty and she took her clothes off. So the fact that I was really impressed by her in this movie.
Very understated, performance.
Yeah. She gets to show a lot of different emotion. It's, she's not stuck in one mode the entire movie. She's great.
Yeah, it's interesting how Monica Gale could get a couple of real showy, like Sandra or Strawberries Need Rain.
What's that Nashville movie she did?
Nashville Girl. She did after later. Switchblade Sisters. That was later.
Yeah. But she did a couple of, at least two of them, the two I just named, and maybe some other ones that she pops up in. But she got those two leads, and I have to think that they helped get her Switchblade Sisters and Midnight Auto Supply and Nashville Girl and some of these other, a step up definitely from the sexploitation movies, and why some of these other actresses didn't.
Right.
Although you're seeing now, like Mary Mendham, one of the movies in the endangered list, Happily Ever After, I think it's called.
Yes. I think it's Ron Wertheim. Didn't Ron Wertheim make that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was found. I know somebody who has a print of that out in Indianapolis. he is a print of Happily Ever After. But you did a few of she did some of those and the Joe Sarno things, but she never got to the level of even Monica Gale of making these mainstream drive-in movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Monica Gale, I think. Well, Monica Gale is like Neola Graef in that she did, to the best of my recollection, she did not do hardcore. So I imagine that made it easier to make that transition. I mean, you have people like Renee Bond that show up in like a TV movie with Trisha Sterling, sharing scenes with Trisha Sterling, getting actual credit as waitress, which is unheard of. But I think the hardcore probably kept her back. I think casting agents are probably perverts too. They probably recognize people, when they come in, like, oh, I just saw you in Teenage Fantasies like last week in the theater. I imagine that was a stumbling block. Someone like Monica, I think, there was kind of a break between those points in her career too, because I feel like she took a break after 71, 72, and then all of a sudden reemerged as the Smiling Cobra, Switchblade Sisters, which is such a different role for her. It's like you forget that she was in like Southern Comforts for Novak and all these other little Pinocchio, Erotic Adventures of Pinocchio she's in too.
Which she's pretty good in,
She made one Psycho. She's in a Lost movie that she made for Marcia Cillin and Joan DeAnda. That the trailer exists because I see it on some of the Something Weird DVDs. It's called Psychotherapy or something like that.
Was it Psychodrama?
Psychodrama. That's it.
Yeah, Psychodrama. Yeah, I can see the title card in my head.
Yeah, but it's like some sort of group therapy sex film that they made, and it must have been.
They made so many of those.
They really did. Yeah, 70. It was like 70, 71. That was the time when you went to encounter groups and things like that. Yeah.
I think Malta's in that too. I've seen her credited on that. Yeah.
It's possible. I think, and a lot of these women, they had the same agents. It was either Hal Gathoo or Dick James or Reb Sowitz. And I think Neola was with, Hal was more reliable. If you just wanted to stick to softcore, you stayed with Hal because he didn't ever cast hardcore. Dick James would cast both. And so, I think that by this time Neola was with Dick James. So I feel like all the women in this were courtesy of Dick James, Pretty Girl International, his company. And then you see like Neola Graef and Kathy Hilton are both in Pinocchio, which is probably also Dick James. And that's Monica Gale. So it's kind of interesting to try to trace who was the casting agent here because they never credit them. You just kind of have to know based on what they've said in interviews at what time they were with Hal and when they were with Dick James. But
wasn't Tally Cochran late? She was later, I guess. She was later. She was a casting director too.
Yeah. She was very involved in. Yes, she started in New York, and then she was doing Soft and Hard in New York till like 71, 72 maybe. And then they went out, and that was around the time she was in like Fugitive Girls and Girls for Rent, which she and Georgina are in, which is crazy because they knew each other in New York, and all of a sudden they're out in the desert and she's getting killed by Georgina Spelman. I think that's also how Barbara Bourbon got involved with that too, was Tally Cochran. Yeah. Interesting woman. I miss her.
Yeah, you talked to her. Yeah, I've heard some of your recordings with her.
Yeah, she was great. Yeah, put in touch with her by the Code Red Boys. For better or worse.
Yeah. I didn't talk to her, but my friend Bob Plant used to talk to her. I love
Bob.
And he talked to her a lot about Jack Starrett because I guess she had cast that movie Frightmare, and she had cast Jennifer Starrett for the part in that.
Right. And I think she's in that. Oh no, maybe she's not in that. Maybe Patrick is in it. I feel like Patrick has a tiny part in that. Maybe as like a cop, maybe because he always showed up as cops randomly in like just perfect heavy build for like a cop.
Always,
yes, exactly, one of those things. But
did you say he has a perfect build for a cop? Is that what you said?
He's like a beefy guy. Like he's not in great shape, so he's kind of like a schlubby cop that obviously has failed a physical. Like is dreading a physical to go back onto duty. But you brought up Jack Starrett, and I remember a while ago you were working on a Jack Starrett book, and I don't know what the status is of that. that?
With Bob, yeah. I mean, Bob has been working on another book for years, and it might actually be two books. But we did so many interviews years ago, and every so often I'll still collect an interview. I'll pick up an interview here or there for the book. There are just so few people left. But yeah, it'll get done at some point. It'll come out. We'll finish it. I'm working on a book about Race with the Devil right now.
Great.
Because there's I have so much information just about that that it could be its own book, whereas in the Jack Starrett book, a lot of it wouldn't need to be in there. Right. So that'll come out first. That'll hopefully be out by the end of the year. But there are still a couple of interviews I still need to do. Like I have almost interviewed Susan George several times, and I just haven't gotten to it. So that's one of the big interviews I want to do this year. I want to finally interview Susan George because she was in 3 of his movies. So yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm manifesting that for you. I'm hoping that happens for you this year. Yeah. The year is young. So, hoping it happens for the end of the year. But I also, I have to say, I think the last time I saw you was at a book signing for These Fists Break Bricks, which was you and Grady at Forbidden Planet.
Right.
And that book is still so great. I still check that book for a reference. I'm like, if I see something on Tubi, I'm like, I wonder if this is written about in that book. And then I'll check it off the list. But you also came out with this book about the Warriors, which I didn't even know you were working on it. I was so excited because I know there are so many great stories about this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we actually that was the first book I wrote with Mike Ingold. We wrote most of it in 2018. I wrote a chapter of it in 2017, and that came about because Mike was hired by Arrow to write one of those monographs when they were doing those monographs at that time. They did like The Hitcher and Blair Witch Project and the films of Mako Kaji and there were a few others. So it was going to be one of those. I think they had done 8 or 9 of them. And so we wrote it. We turned it in. The layout was done and everything. We had gone through proofing and everything. And it was supposed to come out for the 40th anniversary in February 2019. And it just never came out. They canceled that whole line.
Yeah,
they don't do those
more
of those monographs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a couple of those, I have a couple of them. They're really good. I have the Lone Wolf and Cub one. Yeah, they just discontinued it. So after about 2 years of like telling them, oh, hey, giving them suggestions for, what they could do with the book. And if they had just told us that they were discontinuing, finally, when no other books came out in 2 years, it's like, why didn't you just tell us you were discontinuing the line? We would have bought the book back. So we did that. After 2 years later, we bought the book back and then sold it to another publisher. And by that time, more Warriors things had happened, and so there's more things to write about. So we did some interviews and we expanded the book greatly. So it was no longer a monograph. And but during that time, I wrote These Fists with Grady. So it just so happened that last year I had 2 books come out because then we did Grady and I did the second edition of These Fists. We added 50 pages of new material to that, and we got picked up by a different publisher. So then that came out in July, and then 3 months later, the Warriors book came out, Armies of the Night. So I've been doing a lot of promoting for both books.
Right.
And in addition to the DVD stuff and, the Blu-ray extras and all this other stuff. So I'm going to be scaling that back this year. I'm not really doing much more of the Blu-ray work. I think I have 2 more commentaries I'm going to do this month that I should have done like 6 months ago, but I've been so busy.
Well, yeah. I mean, because I remember when I reached out to you because I was like, I really want Chris on here because Temple of Schlock and all these lost movies and things. And I remember you said, well, I'm really busy with promo for my books. And I was like, enough said. I totally get it. Like whatever works for you, like we'll plan ahead. So no, I'm so happy for you. I love the books. I mean, and every time I see you on a DVD extra, I smile because I'm just like, yes, because this reminds me of like how long you've been doing this, and so I'm glad that you're still doing it, because there's people that have kind of decided to move on and not do anything more with film, but I think you're a really vital part of this community. So just had to tell you that.
Yeah, and I want to give a couple of plugs. I wrote the liner notes for the Palmer Rocky movie, which is coming out from Grindhouse.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay,
what I can't even remember what title they're using, because the movies had like 8 different titles. But yeah, so Scarlet Warning 666, I think, is the title that they're using, even though that's not the title on the print that they have. But yeah, so I wrote those booklet notes 2.5 years ago.
Wow.
But the movies will be coming out shortly. I mean, they're taking pre-orders now for that. So that was exciting, because that was an endangered list title. And then there's another one, which I can't, unfortunately I can't mention the title, but Vinegar Syndrome is putting out another endangered list title. They're going to do it as their Reviver, for their Reviver series that they're doing.
Yeah. Well, the first one was an endangered title. Yeah. Right. So I like that they're going to keep doing the endangered. Yep. Check those off the list, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Boots and the Preacher was the first one. I don't remember. They told me what the second one is going to be, and I have not BSing you. I really honestly forgot it.
No, listen, they will have sworn you to secrecy, and honestly, I want to be surprised. Yeah. So I'm definitely ordering it. But good to know you're involved, because
the third one.
Okay, awesome. Because Oscar had reached out and was kind of like, well, if we're doing anything sexploitation, then we'll reach out to you and Gentry to do stuff. So the first one I guess was kind of like no historical stuff, but now I'm glad that they're adding to that.
And it's not it's not a sexploitation movie. It could have been, maybe it should have been, but it's not. It's PG. It's a PG level movie. It was never submitted for a rating, I don't think. But it could very easily have been a sexploitation, and like I said, it probably should have. People would have remembered it, and it wouldn't have just disappeared off the face of the earth. But that'll be the third Reviver.
Awesome.
Well, I was kind of hoping you were gonna say you were writing a book on Lee Frost or like Mondo movies or something.
There was just a book recently, I think, on Mondo movies. There have been a few.
Yeah, because I loved your pieces that were on the Mondo Freudo. 7 releases. I was like, I could listen to Chris talk about Mondo movies forever.
That's right. And Brutes and Savages also. I wrote the booklet notes for that.
Right. God, I forgot for that. I forgot when they came out. Yeah. Yes, the good old days. Yeah, I remember that.
Well, I'm going to talk about the Witchcraft 70 in the Race with the Devil book. Yeah, I'm going to write about that, because that was a few years. That was 5 years before Race with the Devil, and that was Lee Frost shooting new footage for an Italian Mondo movie.
Does a print of that exist?
Right.
What's the worst?
Yeah, there's
okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's in print form, but there is a transfer of it. Yeah, of both. You can get both versions. In fact, I don't know if it's Shocking Video, but one of the not Shocking Videos, or one of the gray market dealers, maybe it's just for the hell of it. They have. You could buy a DVD-R with both versions. The Italian film and Lee Frost's recut.
I just can't believe that hasn't been picked up by like a Severin or a Vinegar Syndrome. I mean, it's horror-ish, witchcraft, and it's. Do you know what the deal is with that?
I don't know. In fact, I just, like, in the last couple of years got the Lee Frost version of it, because the only version that I could find was the original Italian one.
Yeah,
and then somebody came out with a gray market version of Lee Frost's.
I have to see that, because I think that was one that I confirmed that MGM does not have, because there were theories that because like they got the Transamerica library and the AIP library, because I think another one we were researching for that was Sadismo, which they also don't have, and Spree, which they also don't have. And so it's kind of like, okay, back to square one. If MGM doesn't have it, they didn't get it in their acquisition, then I don't know who would have this.
But if they had it, it would have been only the Italian version, right?
No, because if they got it, because Witchcraft 70 didn't come out through AIP?
Yeah, it was through their Trans-American.
Oh, okay.
Right. So then it would have been that version. Yeah, it would have been that version. Yeah, but they don't have it.
They also put out Trans-Europe Express, right? And I don't think they put.
Right.
I don't think that went to MGM.
No. But I'm always surprised at the stuff they have. They have Day of the Nightmare, which is that that thing, that weird 65 movie. I was very surprised. They told me, "Oh yeah, we own that worldwide in perpetuity." I was like, "Oh, somebody should tell something weird," because I think they have the negative. What do you have? Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff went back to the producers because not Hook Generation. What was the Hallucination Generation? That was a Trans-American, and that went to the producer because I think Jesse Nelson at Exhumed put that out on Blu-ray.
Yeah, and that's on Tubi now. Like you can just see it. Yeah, which is really crazy. Yeah, I do like that movie. That's a good one.
Unlike Secret Places, Secret Things, which is never going to show up anywhere, right?
You never know. The print might show up. I'm always amazed at the libraries that Vinegar Syndrome
never say never
up getting.
The issue with it is Grad's Corp, I think, and they were lucky. Blue Hour was also Grad's Corp, so it's kind of like Sandra was Grad's Corp, and that only exists in one print, and so it's kind of. You have to hope that there's something for these somewhere, especially because Secret Places, Secret Things, because I traced the distribution of it and it played everywhere. I mean, I think in LA it was playing 5 theaters at one time or something. It was very present for like a year all over the country. So you kind of just have to hope that a print is somewhere. Yeah, maybe because that negative, I think none of the grad score materials are available anymore in terms of negatives and stuff.
Yeah. I talk with Richard Ellman a few times a year, and I'll ask him sometimes, and about certain movies, and he put out like Farouk U, aka Co-ed Dorm. So something weird. Put out a version of that, but it's cut. It's heavily cut, and he put out Bizarre Devices, and a lot of movies that are either lost or available just through something weird, like an edited form, and he doesn't have any materials anymore.
Right, because he did Panorama Blue too, didn't he?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have that.
I would love to see. Oh, see, I would, because that version on tape, it looks horrible because it's full screen, and it was nice widescreen with all these great, softcore sex superstars of the 70s. I think I asked Vinegar Syndrome if they were interested in that, and I think Joe said that he had asked and he didn't have any elements, but that was a couple years ago. It's possible something's turned up.
Yeah, I don't know. That was 70 millimeter. Actually, that was the big. That was the advertising, the ballyhoo was that it was shot in 70 millimeter.
Right.
And the only version I've seen is that awful one that I think Alpha Blue put out.
Yeah, I think so. And I have the poster. Yeah, that's right. 70 millimeter. I have the poster for it. And it's that roller coaster scene illustrated is right there. It's not as effective in a full screen version, but maybe on 70 millimeter. That back projection, the rear projection didn't look that bad. I don't know.
But
that's a fun one.
I've asked him about certain things. I should ask him again and see. I did a big interview with him about Panorama Blue, and then I talked with him about Fearless Fighters for the book. But I just got the impression that a lot of the things that he had just kind of went back to the producers.
Okay. Where did the Panorama Blue interview get published?
I haven't done anything with it. I was thinking about maybe doing like a magazine, or maybe like I don't know. Yeah, I know that eventually all the interviews I've done with Richard will end up in a book at some point. But we talked for a while just about that movie, and I'm not sure why. Maybe I thought I could sell it to a magazine, or maybe the Rialto Report would be interested in it. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah.
Right. Well, that makes me think of this Pete Perry interview too, because there are a few Pete Perrys that are going to be coming out over the next few years. So, and they're going to be his sexploitation stuff, whether he talked about that with you or not.
Yeah.
I think you're the only person that ever interviewed him.
Yeah.
Like nobody else interviewed him. That's why I was like jaw on the floor when I saw that I was just like, oh my God, Chris spoke to Pete Perry. I had no idea. So that might be a good place for the Pete Perry thing to end up if it's not going to be used in anything else.
Yeah, well, the Mondo Mod, I talked to him because Jack Starrett had worked on that movie. I think he was the editor. I think he and Richard Compton were editors on that movie.
Right.
So that was, I wanted to get some information about that. That was the impetus for that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the only movies around that time he used his real name on, because that was like right in the middle of his Stutesbury era, where he used his real name because it was a general release movie. Yeah, it wasn't Romeo and Juliet, Secret Sex Lives of Romeo and Juliet, and Daughter of Fanny Hill. Right.
Hey, don't knock him. Don't knock him.
I don't like Fanny Hill. I love Romeo and Juliet, though. I do like that one a lot. Well, we kept you for almost 2 hours, sir. And I appreciate your time, especially after a long work day. Were there any final words you had to kind of summarize Secret Places, Secret Things, and why people should be really interested in seeing it?
It's just a really unique, almost. I mean, if it wasn't a sexploitation movie, you could definitely see it playing with the types of independent films that were being made at the time. It was just for a different audience. It was the Pussycat audience, but it was definitely the mind frame of things like Drive, He Said, or other independent film. Drive, He Said was rated X at one point. So it was just something born of that interesting outlaw Hollywood sort of, the maverick the new Hollywood, as they called it. And it's a great opportunity to see people who didn't usually get such meaty roles, to have, like we said, Malta and Kathy Hilton, and then it's always great to see Eric Stern and Ed Blessington in something. So it was a treat, and Gary Kent also, who was in everything, and it's although he doesn't really talk about Secret Places, Secret Things, I do really recommend his book.
I do too.
I like his book a lot. It goes into great detail about working on the Spawn Ranch movies. And,
yeah. That's a great chapter.
Yeah, Adamson films. Yeah. It's a really good book, and more than you ever thought you'd learn about the pyramid.
Yes, there's more there's more in the book on the pyramid than there is on the DVD, actually, when he did that little featurette. Yeah, the book is really essential deep dive into that movie, which I really like quite a lot. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I bought the book and Pyramid and Rainy Day Friends through his website.
I like that one too.
Yeah. And Ed Blessington is in that. He's in Rainy Day Friends, and his mother is in it.
Oh wow! I did not remember he was in that.
Who does he play? Who does he play? I just watched that too. Yeah.
He I don't remember who. He's in the supporting cast though of it. And a lot of Gary's friends were brought in on that.
It's a very pro marijuana film. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. And I guess his mother is in it, has a couple of scenes with Carrie Snodgrass.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Also, but I hope that people will go out and seek out Secret Places, Secret Things, and then watch Pink Motel, because just to see the similarities and the differences, and they're both hangout movies, and like you said, it Secret Places doesn't really amount to much when it ends. It's,
in a good way. In a good way.
Right.
Right.
It's
right. Right.
It's not a Hollywood film. It's not your usual sexploitation movie. It's just like a unique, small indie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it does feel
it
that
does
way.
feel that way.
Very new Hollywood, like you said. Yeah.
And Pink Motel goes on 20 minutes longer, and there's even less. There's even less there than in Secret Places. But
that's wild.
But I still like it, and I still recommend it, especially if you see Secret Places. You got to watch Pink Motel.
Yeah. Well, that is something else about Secret Places that I like. Yeah, like you said, it doesn't amount to much. It really is just like, well, I've spent an hour with these characters, and we're all now going to go on with our lives. Like, they're going back to their lives. I'm going back to my life, and we're kind of all the better for it. You know, I don't. It's not a waste of your time. That you kind of come away from it like this was very enjoyable. This was a nice time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because there are tons of movies from that period, sexploitation things, where it's just like an hour feels like weeks.
Yeah,
because nothing is going on, and there's a lot going on in this. It's just it's just a hangout movie. There's no plot line. There's no robbery. There's no murders or anything. It's just a chill movie.
We love that.
Yeah, thanks again for bringing it to our attention. I know Casey was like pretty hyped on it when you mentioned that that's the movie you wanted to focus on. So he was always like, "Oh, is Gentry gonna like it?" And I loved it.
I'm always nervous because it's not your typical movie. So as people, I'm nervous that people will say, "Well, this is boring." But then Gentry likes Joe Sarno and films with like not languid pacing but deliberate pacing, where it's like it doesn't necessarily have to have something happening, but the experience is worth having.
I know a land, I'll take you there, a land for two that we can share. And in this land, I promise you, the dreams you dream will all come true. Loveland. Just open your heart to me, and you'll be there. This land has rain and sunshine too. They make you grow, it's up to you. There are no rules except to give. The more we do, the more we live. Loveland, the best place on earth to be.
What do you want to do?
Oh, you know what I want to do. Oh, Bobby, I want you so much. What can we do?
Well, we could do it just for a little while.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, Please select the link in the description.
Greetings, welcome to Two in the Pinku podcast. Experience a deep dive into softcore Japanese sexploitation cinema from the 60s up into the present, with an emphasis on sleaze and seduction. We are monthly or bi-weekly, and we're not even bi.
Will pink film save our marriage? Find out on Two in the Pinku podcast.